Welcome back to another explainer. Today, we're tackling an absolutely massive debate that has been dividing kitchens and nutrition circles for literally years. The ultimate showdown of raw versus cooked foods. You know the drill. People love to argue over the absolute best way to prep our meals to squeeze every last drop of nutrition out of them. But wait, does throwing your veggies in a hot pan actually destroy the fundamental structure of your food? Let's find out. So let's dive right into the thick of it with our big central question for today. Does cooking destroy the food matrix? Now, when we say food matrix, we're talking about that incredibly complex, beautiful natural architecture of our meals, where all those vitamins, minerals, and fibers just work together. So when you toss those greens into a steaming pot or roast them up in the oven, are you completely wrecking that architecture? Let's kick things off with Section 1, the raw food myth. Is uncooked always inherently healthier? You see, within the raw food movement, there's this core philosophy that heating foods above 115 degrees Fahrenheit pretty much ruins all those amazing plant nutrients. And this kind of creates a really strict black and white mindset for a lot of folks. On one side of the camp, you've got this idea that raw automatically equals healthy, simply because the natural structure and the enzymes are totally intact. On the flip side, the idea is that cooked automatically equals unhealthy because, well, the heat supposedly damages all those precious nutrients. It's built on three really simple ideas, right? Heat destroys enzymes, heat damages nutrients, and heat changes the food's natural structure. It is a super easy formula to remember. But biology? Yep, biology is rarely ever that simple. Which brings us to Section 2, when heat helps. The surprising twist in plant biology. Here's the fascinating reality. The changes caused by cooking don't always destroy nutritional value. Actually, sometimes they dramatically improve it. Think about it. Heat interacts with the actual plant cell walls. It softens them up, which basically opens the door for our digestive enzymes to reach nutrients that were previously locked tightly inside. Take tomatoes, for example. Heating up a tomato breaks down those cell walls and transforms its lycopene into a form that's way easier for our bodies to absorb. You literally get significantly more bioavailable lycopene from cooked tomatoes than raw ones. And it's the exact same story for carrots. Cooking softens up their tough exterior walls, making the beta-carotene, which our bodies eventually turn into vitamin A, considerably more bioavailable. Oh, and mushrooms? Raw mushrooms have these incredibly tough walls made of chitin. Hitting them with some heat not only makes them a lot easier to chew and digest, but it literally unlocks this powerhouse antioxidant called ergothioneine. And, sometimes cooking isn't just about boosting antioxidants. It is an absolute non-negotiable for safety. Take beans, for example. They must be cooked, no exceptions. If you eat raw or even undercooked beans, especially red kidney beans, you are ingesting these toxic lectins, like phytohemagglutinin, and trust me, you do not want that. That can cause some pretty severe nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, the whole shebang. A proper rolling boil destroys those lectins, making the beans completely safe to eat. Plus, it reduces phytates, which actually improves protein digestibility, so it's a win-win. But let's look at the other side of the coin in Section 3. When cooking reduces nutrients, the trade-offs of using heat. To be completely fair, raw food advocates aren't totally off base here. There is absolute validity to their argument when we're talking about delicate nutrients. Some things are just incredibly sensitive to heat, water, and oxygen. So here's what actually takes a hit when things get too hot for too long. First up, vitamin C. It is highly heat sensitive. If you're boiling vegetables for a really long time, that vitamin C basically just breaks down and dissolves right out into your cooking water. Poof, gone. Some B vitamins, like thiamine and folate, do the exact same thing. They steadily decline during prolonged boiling because they also dissolve in water. And finally, chlorophyll. That's the amazing compound giving green veggies their vibrant color and massive antioxidant properties. It definitely loses its punch when overcooked. So if you're really targeting those specific, delicate vitamins, things like light steaming, microwaving, or just grabbing fresh, raw fruits and greens is absolutely the way to go. But what if you really want to cook your food, but you also want to save those heat-sensitive compounds? Well, check out this absolutely brilliant kitchen hack for garlic. So garlic contains this incredible beneficial phytochemical, but heat rapidly destroys the enzyme needed to actually create it. The fix? It is so easy. Just chop your fresh garlic and then just wait. Give it exactly 10 minutes. By simply pausing, a super powerful compound called allicin has time to naturally form. And once that allicin is fully formed, boom, you are safe to turn up the heat. It's just a simple 10-minute pause that locks in the benefits before you even start cooking. Okay, now we need to talk about the enzyme argument, because this is a huge pillar of the raw food movement. The idea is that heat denatures natural plant enzymes, like bromelain in pineapple. And yes, absolutely, heat destroys them. But, and this is a really crucial distinction here, our own stomach acid digests most of those plant enzymes anyway, long before they can actually jump in and meaningfully aid digestion in healthy individuals. So, while raw food enzymes are great, they don't really offer that magical digestive cure that some folks claim. Why? Because our own digestive system essentially does the exact same thing to those enzymes that a hot frying pan does.
Moving right along to section 4, remodeling the food matrix, how heat reshapes without destroying. Instead of looking at heat as this purely destructive, terrible force, let's look at what's actually happening to the complex architecture of whole plant foods when we get cooking. To really wrap our heads around this, let's redefine the food matrix. Like we mentioned, it's this remarkable natural architecture of whole foods. It's where vitamins, minerals, fiber, fats, proteins, and phytochemicals all work together in perfect synergy. We aren't just talking about some random bucket of isolated vitamins floating around. This is a highly collaborative, deeply interconnected structure that fundamentally changes how we digest food, how full we feel, and how our blood sugar reacts. I absolutely love this quote from our source material, mostly because it gives us such a vivid, powerful metaphor. Think of the food matrix like a brick building. Cooking doesn't usually demolish the building. Instead, it remodels it. It's brilliant, right? Cooking basically softens up the walls, makes some of those hidden nutrients way easier to reach, and sure, maybe a few delicate features get lost in the remodel, but other parts become so much more accessible. You're not bringing in a wrecking ball and leveling the whole structure. You're just, opening up the floor plan.
I mean, think about it. Cooking a potato does not magically turn it into a potato chip. The food matrix of that potato remains remarkably intact. Cooking whole foods keeps them infinitely healthier than highly processed foods because the essential, resilient synergy of that plant is still right there. Cooking your morning oats doesn't turn them into some ultra-processed, sugary instant cereal. Boiling some black beans doesn't magically transform them into a highly processed meat substitute. The fundamental food itself remains exactly that, intact. Which brings us to our final takeaway in Section 5, the best of both worlds. Why nature invites us to not pick sides. If you ever needed proof that nutrition is rarely a black and white issue, just look at spinach. It's the perfect example. Eating raw spinach gives you the absolute maximum amount of vitamin C and folate. Great. But cooking that exact same handful of spinach gives you maximum vitamin A, vitamin K, iron, and calcium. Why? Because the heat actually breaks down compounds called oxalates that trap those minerals. Neither method is inherently superior to the other. Raw spinach is an absolute rock star in a fresh salad, and cooked spinach totally shines in a hearty soup or a warm curry. Honestly, they both belong in a healthy, balanced diet. So what's the bottom line for us in the kitchen? First things first, handle your food safely. If you love using a raw food dehydrator, just remember that keeping temperatures under 115 degrees is fantastic for preserving delicate nutrients, but it absolutely does not sterilize your food to kill any harmful bacteria lingering on the produce. So please always wash your produce. Secondly, enjoy variety. The ultimate goal here isn't to draw a line in the sand and choose between raw or cooked. The goal is to eat a massive, colorful array of minimally processed whole plant foods. So go ahead, eat those huge fresh salads, simmer your beans, and roast those sweet potatoes. So, are you ready to remodel your next meal? I really hope this explainer challenged you to rethink some of those deeply ingrained kitchen habits. The absolute healthiest diet isn't exclusively raw, and it isn't exclusively cooked either. Nature kind of invites us to enjoy the incredible synergy of both. But, all this does make you wonder. What other secret nutritional superpowers are sitting completely unnoticed in your pantry right now? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Stay curious and happy cooking.